it has it on page 4 listed as a bioswell. And so instead of SWELL, I believe it's SWALE.
That's correct, yes.
So that's the only thing I saw. Very
Nice, good catch.
infinitesimal there.
Any other comments or concerns?
I didn't have anything. Surprise.
I'll look for a motion to approve.
I'll move that we approve the consent items of the agenda from June 11th.
Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Minutes, I should say, sorry, not agenda. minutes.
Are we good, Michelle? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Item number 4, public hearing and action on ordinance 2023-11, amending title 10, land use matrix and definitions for RV sales and storage. So. I need to open this up, do I?
We can do a presentation if you'd like,
Yes.
and then open it up for
Yes.
public hearing.
Yeah, let's do that. Thank you.
Okay.
I had like a moment there. I was like, what's the right one? But sorry.
It's been a whole month, so I understand.
Thank you.
Okay, this is a fairly light item when it comes to amendments. We as we were reviewing our land use matrix, we noticed that the RV sales and service had a definition in our code, but wasn't a allowed use in any of the zones. And so we just wanted to include it in zones as a conditional or permitted use. We did update the definition to include the storage for those commercial ventures as well. So if you have a auxiliary satellite site that's connected to the main selling source, then you can be able to have that offsite storage to bring the product onto that. So we have it as a permitted use in commercial and commercial highway, and a conditional use in commercial recreation, permitted use in light industrial and transitional light industrial, and then not permitted in the remaining zones, natural resource agriculture, and all of the residential zones.
Can you give a little background on what's driving this?
So what, as you know, the general RV is coming into our city. We have approved their development. We approved it at the condition under the use of retail sales. They have come to us and said that they would like to acquire another site to have as a satellite storage site for their product. And so in doing so, we looked at trying to find a good definition for storage of commercial recreational vehicles, and we couldn't find a good definition anywhere in our code. I didn't feel comfortable it being just classified as a parking lot because it has direct commercial ties. And so that's why we that necessitated the amendment tonight. So while we could classify the retail portion as a retail sales, this helps us define it even better for that commercial highway and commercial zones as a permitted use, and then conditional use in the other zones that I mentioned.
Lisa, could you pull up the zoning map by chance?
Yes. Yeah, it includes sales, service, and storage of materials and product.
Just because there's context there, that's all. Do you know what I'm talking about? The one that, okay. Yeah. What did I say?
That's Kim.
Oh, sorry.
Don't have your name tag out.
Sorry, Kim.
How long you been doing that?
I'm firing on all cylinders this evening. Apparently.
Need a restart.
My apologies. I'm sorry, Kim.
Go to departments, business and planning, and maps.
Yeah, if we get done soon enough, we can do this park pursuit, the great park pursuit.
Yes. Is there any other additional context that you'd like to add on this one?
No, the definition that we had in land use matrix was pretty encompassing, but it did include storage facilities and sales of parts and maintenance. And so we just updated that so it encompassed all aspects of RV sales.
Got it.
So that's, yeah, it's a fairly simple update, but
And the property is the one in,
Red there in the,
is it red all the way to the left there? Is that where that is?
No, it's the.
It's the blue, right?
Little red one.
well, blue is commercial recreation. They're looking at a site within the city for sale.
Okay.
It hasn't been disclosed yet on where that's gonna be, but
Got it.
we wanted to make sure that that zoning tool is available to them if they have the secured the site.
Got it. All right, so what we're actioning tonight is, do we want to add the this definition to Title 10 land use matrix, basically?
Yes, do we want to amend the definition and add them into the land use matrix as a permitted or conditional use in the zones that are listed? You'll make your recommendations on whether you want to keep it as it's been proposed or make any amendments to what zones to
Trevor, can
exclude or
you
include.
clarify, did you say General RV approached the city? Saying that they were looking for that satellite storage space?
They informed the city they were looking for satellite storage space for it. So
And is that what kind of necessitated the change or kind of why we're now looking at the code?
yeah, so as we were looking at that, they were asking where they would be able to, what zones would allow that, and as we were looking at the zones, we didn't see that express use as storage for their commercial sales.
And it's strictly gonna be storage? Is it gonna be like gated, monitored, secured, like,
Yeah.
is that lighted
Yes,
and lighting 24 hours a day?
yes,
Well,
You-
24,
That's-
you like.
all of that,
lighted at night.
all of
Yeah,
that
I guess
is
it-
gonna be coming
night.
forward in a site plan if and when they make that application for the satellite site. And any site that's over an acre is a conditional use, and so those are conditions that we can place to mitigate safety and welfare for the site, right? So making sure that's
this,
fenced.
we're just talking about the zoning.
Right, today's
Yes.
just the zoning, it's not for
Not for the site. itself.
not for the site itself.
And and you didn't want to. Or you weren't comfortable leaving it as like you said, a parking lot definition, right?
Right, as I was looking at parking lot, I mean, I could squint my eyes and say, sure, it's a parking lot, but the intent behind the use is for commercial sales. And so that's a different impact than just parking. And also, it's a large storage use, right? So they're looking at sites over 5 acres to store recreational vehicles. And so that's gonna be a larger impact to the area than.
Is there any
Parking, yeah.
probability, I guess, I don't know if this is the right word, but like for sales tax revenue? Being generated
Yes,
with the
so
connection?
with the satellite site, they're projecting, basically, the more product they have on hand, the more they'll be able to
They
sell.
can sell.
And so that's why they're looking for the additional site. Right now they have 16 usable acres, 18 once the Army Corps of Engineers signs off on their use of the land. They're wanting around 23 to 25 acres or more.
That's
Um,
what they're looking for?
Well, total between the satellite site and
Oh,
the main
okay.
site.
Between the main site and then the
cumulative total.
satellite. 'cause
Yeah.
The main site is how many acres again?
16 acres right now approved and then 18 total once they get the full approval.
Can I just make a point? It sounds like we're in our discussion. We need to have a public
Yeah.
hearing,
Oh,
Yes.
sorry.
so.
Thank you.
Good call. Catch.
All right, so let's go ahead and get a motion to open up a public hearing then.
I'll make a motion, to open the public hearing, and action on ordinance 2023-11, amending title 10. Land use matrix and definitions for RV sales and storage.
I'll second. Oh, Marty beat me.
All
I'll
right,
second that motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes,
Yes. All right, public hearing is now open. Any comments? All right, I'll look for a motion to close public hearing.
I'll move that we close the public hearing.
I'll second.
All in favor?
I,
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
now we can have. our-
Now we can discuss.
Now it's good. Thank you. Thank you.
Can I say something really quick?
Yeah, shoot.
I know in the packet on page 11 and when it's talking about where, the zones on the matrix. I noticed that under residential moderate RM that it was saying permitted. I think that's
Oh,
supposed to say
that-
not permitted.
Correct.
So I just want to make sure that that change gets captured
Yes.
because we do not want to allow that
No.
And
in our residential moderate zones.
and that was my only comment as well.
Just slipped it in there. Just kidding. I'm so sorry. I'll fix that.
We
Nah.
read Trevor,
We pay
we'll
attention.
go through it.
Yep.
so.
That was a test and you all passed it.
It's like gold stars for everybody.
Any other questions or concerns?
It's pretty straightforward, I think, so needs to be done.
Well, and I think if it's basically protecting, for that it's a designated, very specific designated use. It's not like we're gonna have 10 RV sales centers. They're gonna be trying to acquire property. We already kind of know they've got the 16. You said their total acreage. I'm just tagging back onto the conversation we started. So they want a total of 25,
23 to 25.
20
That's
to
their
25.
goal. What they basically, they're anticipating their sales tax or their sales to be pretty significant, but they would see about a 20 to 30% bump if they were able to have more storage locally. And so, which would be even more significant for our little city. So, and I would be fine for 10 RV sales to just pop up. If they want to use all the commercial
I don't
highway
think the
lane,
residents would be. very happy with
maybe not.
I think that the further specificity protects both the city and the user. And I think it's valuable. It's good to put a little bit more teeth in the code.
I agree though.
I do have a question, because obviously there's very few parcels that really could give them the space, in an RV sales, storage area. What if one of those areas happens to border a residential neighborhood?
Lots of trees.
So that will be, we have a lot of protections inside the zones, like a commercial recreational zone requires that buffer yard, right? And
Okay.
the landscape buffer in there to limit some of those things. Some of the nice portions of having this being a satellite storage yard is that there's not as much lighting need, right? Because it's not a showroom. They're not taking people out there. It's just light for security.
Mhm.
And so there will be some screening requirements in our code, both in the commercial recreation, commercial highway, and commercial zones, all the light industrial, they all have those provisions where they butt up against residential.
Okay,
Right, and there's gonna be, like, we're looking at a really minimal impact, probably, I mean, other than when they load the site, right, that's gonna be the biggest impact, but once they're up and running, there'll be about 5 to 6 maybe that leave a day if it's a really good day. So
Okay.
it's
there-
not huge.
Sorry. I thought you were.
I just TRL'd on. I like to talk a lot. I apologize.
it's
Apparently,
all good.
Siri thought I was talking to her, sorry.
Who's that?
Is there anything else in our code that we should address simultaneously without, or before we give the okay on this one? That would further either strengthen the code or protect the city or the residents, anything like that,
No, not that I can see. This is, it's pretty typical. We did a large scale revamp of our land use matrix 2.5 years ago, approximately. And at that time, we knew that it wasn't gonna be all encompassing and we probably were gonna miss a few things. And so it's very typical. This is just a typical thing where we get a request and realize, oh, it's not really mentioned in our code. Let's get that mentioned before an application comes in and we can address it at that time.
I have a quick question. Is there any reason why light industrial isn't being considered as a conditional use versus just automatically being permitted?
I think just the nature of light industrial is gonna be, warehousing, storage, that type
Pretty
of thing.
similar to
And so,
what the use would be.
yeah, so the uses would be very similar and so the impact would be pretty negligible. And so,
and like in the way that I understand the differentiation with light industrial and heavy is that light industrial does not allow for outside storage.
Right.
Everything's inside.
Has to be
Yeah.
internal
Mhm.
to a
And so,
building.
so yeah, it's a lot more restrictive. And I think it's already built in.
Yeah, so it does allow for that storage, but yeah, it just fit better. When you tag up uses. Comparative, that's why like commercial recreation, that's why it's a conditional use is because that might be closer to residential potentially, or closer to other commercial recreation type of businesses like the RV park is a commercial recreation zone, right? And so you might want to have some mitigating factors to have some buffer and things like there. So that was the intent behind that.
Okay, thank you for explaining that.
Any other questions or concerns? All right, I'll look for a motion to
Make a recommendation.
recommend approval.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval for action or ordinance 2023-11, amending Title 10, Land Use Matrix and Definitions for RV Sales and Storage.
A second.
Roll call, starting with Commissioner Wilson,
Yes,
Commissioner Bowe,
Yes.
and Commissioner McFadden.
Aye.
And I'm a yes as well. So we are all in favor there. Item number 5, Planning Commission meeting format. So. Anything else to add? Are we good?
Yeah, no, we're good.
Okay. So I had sent an email out previous to this meeting to recommend that we try out a change in our meeting format. That I was talking to Jamie. I think it was like 6 weeks ago, and it was a while ago. And he was telling me about the other cities that did this format, and I thought it sounded pretty cool. I got some comments back from most of you guys. But I wanted to open it up to you guys if you guys had any additional questions, if we're all in favor of trying this out for a couple times, see how it goes. What are your thoughts?
well, and for the benefit of the rest of the commission, because I didn't respond to Jeremy's email, but I did talk to him yesterday when we met for code committee. I'm fine with it. I think if there serves a purpose for having a work session beforehand and kind of what was presented, I don't think that we need to have that for every meeting. Because tonight's agenda obviously very light, and to have a work session dinner, and then I just feel like that's just time that we can always spend with families doing other things.
Overkill, yeah.
A little overkill.
Mhm.
So I think as long as we're very. Yes, thank you. That is a great word, judicious on when we have that. And I don't know if we can have 2 different types of meetings based on agenda. Because obviously if we were to have a meeting like, let's just say South River Gateway, that would have been great to have a couple work sessions. To really be able as a commission to sit down and see all of the details, because we all have different devices and sometimes others catch details that we miss. So I'm okay with it. Let's just be smart about it.
So one thing, when I was in Riverdale, we had a work session. And it really helped to simplify the discussion. And because we were able to go through the agenda and say, okay, these are my items or my issues, and oh yeah, well, I have the same issues. And I mean, because it always takes us probably about 30 minutes to get there.
Yeah.
And the work session helped to minimize that, so it's like, oh, I don't have to bring this up because Julie done.
Boils it down already.
And
Yeah.
then also, there's also some discussion with staff. They can say, well, this is why, and oh, okay, that makes, it really did help to streamline the discussion over there. I think we never had a meeting that went over an hour. And I attribute that a lot to the work sessions. But like you, today, yeah, there's no reason for it.
Yeah.
I also don't think we need to be fed.
Yeah, well, I wanted to bring that up too, because that was one of the things that wasn't ubiquitous either with the other cities that did it. I was talking to, I think it was Trevor on costs. If we wanted to build in that as like a guaranteed, yeah, we'll feed commission and staff during this work session or whatever, and I think it was like. Something like 50 to, no, it was more than that, I think it was like $100 a session or something.
Yeah, that's not needed for everyone.
Yeah.
If we know it's
So-
gonna be a solid, you know, because we've got multiple heavy agenda items, I mean, can we at least keep it open to have that discussion, like, yeah, let's do that, so.
Yeah, well, there was another idea that came up that where some cities did almost like a potluck thing where they just kind of brought something to share.
That's
I don't know if you guys
That's
like
more-
that.
That's
but-
more. than-
That's my word. Sorry.
Or someone just volunteers to like pick up a couple pizzas or something else. It's,
I think we're overcompensated already. Honestly,
I think we're perfectly compensated.
well, we can have a difference of opinion. So,
One thing just so you're aware, we do have some discretionary funds for the planning commission, and so. If it is gonna be a longer meeting, I think it is helpful to not be hangry while we're trying to make decisions.
oh, that makes meetings so much better.
Get decisions done faster, huh?
Get us out of there. One thing just on the staff side, meetings like tonight where we have this discussion item and then an action item. I think, yeah, it's with it being so small, it would make sense to just hold it in this room. One nice thing about having the work sessions is it brings us all around the same table. And I think that the planning commission doesn't feel, I mean, when you're sitting up there, you're feeling it's go time and I have to be poised and I have to say the right things and I have to, but in the work session, it's feels a little more relaxed. It's still a public meeting. We still have to let Paul in, you know, we still have to allow for the public to come in and that's just fine. But it also helps feel like now's the time for me to ask questions, even if it feels a little silly or I don't quite understand and it's a little bit less intimidating. But one thing we just have to caution, and one of the reasons why we switched from having work sessions, because we used to do them in the past, is that the planning commission was making their decisions in that work meeting.
No.
And we can't do that, right? So we can have the discussions. It's up to the chair to make sure that we moderate and just say, okay, we've had our discussion. We'll go out to the dais and make that decision later. Do you have any other items? We'll agenda those work sessions, right? So we'll have an agenda for the work session and those items that are on the work session. And I think at that point, I'll work with the chair on curating what items really need a work session. So like larger developments would be great to say, let's sit down. It's going to take us probably 30 minutes to work through all of this. Where other ones, it's like, well, this is a 2-sentence update to the code. I don't anticipate it being a large problem. And I'd confirm that with the chair. So, and then we just agenda that. The idea is that we'd be in the conference room here. Now that we have everything set up, we have the ability to have some good separation and we can go to the conference room, be a little more informal and relaxed in there and then come over and have the formal policy session is what it would be called, to execute the official action items.
And are we thinking, because I know obviously most meetings start at 6 with a work session, would the work session start at 6?
That's what I would
Or not
anticipate.
earlier, like 5 o'clock or anything like that?
Obviously, that's up to you all, but I would anticipate that we would just keep the same starting time and we just say the work session starts at 6. Policy session will start at 6:30. With state code, we can never be early on starting meetings, but we can be late in starting meetings, right? So if the work session does go a little bit longer, then we can start the meeting later. But we just can't, like if we get done in 10 minutes, then we're just taking a break for a little while. So we'll notice it for about that 30 minutes or even shorter if we feel like we just need a quick heads up type thing.
so the idea is to almost time that agenda so that everyone knows in advance, hey, we expect the working session to take 15 minutes today, not
Mhm.
30 or something. And then
Yeah,
Leanne and I would work that out.
Right? If we get a lot of questions from the packet, we have 48 hours or 24 hours to update that. Well,
24?
before, like we have to do it 24 hours in advance of the meeting, but we can adjust the schedule if we feel like I got questions from all 5 of you and it's like, okay, no, this is going to take longer. Let's adjust that to be 45 minutes or whatever, but we want to be as judicious as possible. We want to give ourselves the time, but not say it's an hour. I've worked at places where we've had an hour-long work session, and if we get done in 10 minutes, then we're all twiddling our fun thumbs for 50 minutes. And that's painful as well. I know Gary would probably lose his mind if we would have that
He'd leave
happen,
and
so.
come back.
I'd go home.
I really like the idea. I think we should totally try it out. Is there anybody that's diametrically opposed to trying this?
No opposition here.
All right, then I say, starting in August, we do this.
One
If
thing we
needed.
do need
If
to,
needed.
If needed.
yes, one thing we do need to talk about August
Yes.
is the regular planning commission lands in the middle of Country Fair Days week. They adjusted the weeks this year.
Oh, that's right, because it's a
And
week
so
later.
that, right, so the city council's adjusted their schedule. And are meeting a week later. After Country Fair Days. We can maintain it on that 8th during Country Fair Days. We're anticipating a couple developments to come that night. It may be a little bit, probably an hour and a half, 2 hours, but hopefully shorter. But that's what I always tell my wife, like I get out at 10 o'clock and she'll be surprised when I get home at 9. But that's a consideration. We can move it. One suggestion is moving it a week earlier. However, Thursday nights are also conflict with court on the off weeks. So one thought is, if we move it the week prior, then it would be moved on a Wednesday. And that drives another question from staff, is when we meet up with these conflicts with court, and I have to adjust it to a different day. Is there a day of the week that works better? Or is Thursday the best week for everybody on the commission?
Thursday's the best.
Thursday is pretty open for me. If I were to pick an alternate day, if there's a conflict, I would say,
Can't do Tuesdays because that's city council.
yeah, that one's tough.
Nobody wants to do
when's-
Monday or Friday.
Wednesday is rough because I have other commitments on Wednesdays, but yeah, Thursdays is like the best day.
So are you saying we can't do the 3rd of August?
No, that's,
For
we
that
have
meeting?
court that day.
So
So
the
if-
court is the 3rd and the 17th. Are they 2 times a month?
Right. If we did the 3rd, we would have to start the meeting probably at 7 o'clock
After court?
after court is
Could we
complete.
do the 24th? Like really go?
We could move it all the way to the end of the
Does
month.
anybody have any issues with the
Need to.
24th?
That actually works better for me because I plan my work travel around planning commission, so I'm gonna be gone the 3rd because I was
So am
planning
I,
on being
yeah.
here.
I won't be here.
For the
Uh,
10th,
Yeah,
but if we did the 24th,
So that's a state holiday.
That's July
that's July
24th.
24th. This is August.
Oh, sorry.
Wish-
I'm good.
He's like, 24th, I'm good.
Is there any issue in moving it that far out?
The only issues would be, we have some developments that we've told them that they would meet at the first of the month, so.
Well, but
We
if
might
scheduling
have
doesn't
to-
allow the commission to
Right.
be available,
Right,
and this
and
gives them
that's,
more time to get their developments
Well, the
all
only-
buttoned up.
The only thing we're avoiding is Country Fair Days on Thursday, the 10th. Is that what we're trying to avoid?
yeah, that's,
Well, that's
it's just
gonna
Country Fair Day week, and city council obviously attends all those events.
Yep.
Planning commission, you may or may not, it's not part of your official duties to go.
so what's
to that,
going
but-
on?
What is on the
tonight?
10th?
Yeah, what's going on Thursday?
Let me tell you.
Is it something for citizens to weigh in on, and it's the barbecue, or, you know, the. Okay. Or just.
It is the Kid K race, old timers baseball, and movie in the park.
Oh, see, and those are pretty heavily
So the
attended.
question is, what's the movie?
Yeah,
Because I'm not a kid, I'm not an old
The
timer.
Minions.
Last year, so.
Movie starts at 9 PM, so most likely we'd be done with the movie by the time the movie is done. Old timer starts at 7 PM. We can just have incentive to be done early that night.
but if we're gonna have a lot of developments, here's my concern, if we have any public hearings, are we now gonna be putting citizens at risk for no public hearings?
No, I don't think we'll have any public hearing.
Okay,
There, this kind of leaks into new business, but I've been in conversation with the Gateway project to get their replat in. They are wanting to go ahead and move forward with that. They're shooting for that August date to
Okay.
get that in. I think they have some tweaks they still have to make to get it to comply, but they were hoping for that. And then our two capped properties, the two capped developments
Coming for final.
coming in for final.
Oh, okay.
Castle Cove,
I don't,
phase 1 and 2 are coming in for final.
I don't see those as being big discussion items. unless I'm-
Because the Castle Cove is the one off of Leicester,
Yes.
correct?
Mhm.
I feel like we already vetted those out pretty thoroughly.
Yes.
Am I missing something? Maybe.
Isn't that when we had the interruption?
Yes,
It
yeah.
was.
I think we need to give sufficient time on
I,
those.
just in case.
Yeah.
Then
But there's no public hearing on those in that meeting.
No,
No.
but they do have public comment.
When they
on
have
that,
public
so-
comment
okay.
that they can still come in and say something.
Yeah, that's fair.
so.
That's fair.
So I'm personally okay on the tenth, but I understand South Weaver Day, so I'll defer to the rest of the group.
Or we could move it to Wednesday, the 9th, which is the swim party,
Or the
I'll be at the
24th.
swim party.
or the 24th.
Yeah. that
Could
was
we
such-
do the 16th? It's a Wednesday,
We
So
could do the Wednesday, the 16th, yeah.
only because then it's not so far out
Mhm.
from our original date. It doesn't interfere with court. How does Wednesday, the 16th look for the commission?
I could do 16.
I'm down.
I'll have a very red face from a procedure on the 11th, but if we can deal with that, I'll be here. No, I wish.
Laser hair removal? Oh.
He's like, "Shh, it's a person."
Just kidding.
Yeah, I won't say. The
We
world
don't need
does
it
not
on a
need to
public
know.
record.
Nope,
Are you, Marty, you're good on?
I'm good.
Why don't we do the 16th? I think
Yeah.
that one's a good.
Yeah.
A good,
Does that work for Kim and
Lisa,
Michelle? as well?
Lisa,
Yeah.
Michelle, does
yeah,
that work?
yeah,
Are you
Lisa-
guys good?
Lisa, does that work?
Kim.
Darn it.
I know.
Okay, we need to get her name tag up there and put it.
I was
right
playing that
next to
time. I was playing.
I said Lisa to Michelle this time though. but-
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, so I think we're good then. Let's do the 16th.
Sounds great. We'll get that notice.
And then I need to make sure all my calendars are updated. Okay. Anything else on that one, Trevor?
No.
Any new business? From staff? Kim, it looks like you really want to say something. No, you're good. Okay. Any new business from my fellow commissioners? Okay. Any additional comments?
I'm curious, how many of the commission is planning on attending that APA conference that's in Ogden?
I'm scheduled to attend.
Are you going?
I got it on my calendar. Yeah.
What were the dates on that again?
It is September 20s, I want to say 26, 27, but let me
Okay.
double check.
I'm thinking about it.
I have the 28th and the 29th,
Oh, then that's probably.
Thursday and Friday.
Yes, that's it.
Okay,
Yeah, Thursday, the 28th and Friday, the 29th.
I was planning on attending. I
Okay.
thoroughly enjoyed it last year.
I was as well. So it looks like we'll have a full commission.
I
Trevor,
think
will you be
Travis-
in attendance?
I may
Possible.
not be because my wife is due October 1st with our baby.
So Pending imminent baby.
So we'll just tell her to hold it in. No, so I might be out on paternity leave at that point, but
Paternity,
paternity.
the 28th and the 29th of September.
So we'll,
When
I'll
does
see if
registration open for that?
it's open now. So
Oh, it is?
I'll go in and get registered. I think it was everybody.
Do you register us or do we register ourselves?
Yeah, I will
Okay.
register all of you.
When do you need to know by?
I think if we're doing all 5 of you, then it's like buy 3, get 2 free type thing. It's pretty good. So I'll just register all 5 of you because it won't
Okay.
cost the city extra.
Okay.
Anything else? Any other comments? Well, once, one twice.
Hope to see you all at Country Fair Days.
I move we adjourn.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes. So adjourned.
So moved.